Chrissy had always believed in magic. It had been years since the Fae returned to prove her right, but it still sent a thrill through her every time she saw magic around her. Nothing was more magical than Stonehenge on winter solstice, except for perhaps Cian's castle that was always decked and the party loud. Not only were they celebrating solstice, but also the anniversary of the Fae returning to England. They had a sombre remembrance in the day to honour the battles in London, exacted by a very cursed Cian. Peace treaties were renewed, and protesters marched. None of it was violent or magical, because the events were run by humans. The night was another matter. It was at the Henge. A party was hosted for the Fae who didn't think it was a bad thing that Cian had gotten revenge for them. It had taken Chrissy a while to be able to look at Cian and see her best friend's mate, and not the golden armoured scourge of London. He had been cursed and bound to a magical oath, and no one could deny the destructive power of that. Chrissy practically lived at the castle once she took up the job of helping Elise sort out the restoration and cataloguing of the library. She couldn't think of anywhere she would rather be on winter solstice. She had grown up watching the Christmas Beauty and the Beast movie and had loved the festive opulence of the Hogwarts castle in Harry Potter. They had nothing on Cian's castle. The Fae loved a party and were beyond extra when it came to decorating. This year was no different. The entire grand hall was hung with roses and fir and pine bowers. Red and gold candles were everywhere. A huge Yule log burned in the middle of the fire pit. The tables were covered in platters of roasted food and fruits. Wine and ale vats were overflowing. The huge extended family of Ironwoods and Great Drakes had arrived with Arn and Tor and a whole contingent of elves. It was chaos. It was glorious. It was so far from the awkward Christmas she would be having with her sister Lou and her kids in a few days' time. When their parents had been alive, it had always been a fun time with their own vast extended family from the West Indies and anyone from their mother's church. She had married a white guy, but unlike Lou, she had stayed connected with her community. Their house at Christmas had been a never-ending party of people. That all changed when their parents had died in a car accident, and Lou had married the most boring white guy she could find. Darren was in some kind of property developing. He loved Lou and the kids, and that was enough for Chrissy. He was just boring. Christmas was spent now with Darren's elderly parents and family. Chrissy, who was always too loud, too colourful, and too pagan, always felt left on the outside.